Welcome into the studio. This small pastel is just to have a bit of fun with. It's just a real happy looking colourful landscape with some nice sun and reflected light into it as well, and some mountains in the distance. And I'm using the wine pastel matte paper, so that's a paper colour I've never used before. I'm using that just because the whole general scene is really kind of a purplish colour. And at the beginning I'm trying out a small study of it with pan pastels. I want to keep this drawing or pastel painting extremely loose. So pretty much exactly the opposite to what I would normally do. Normally I do some things very detailed, very realistic, but I want this to be the exact opposite. I want to see exactly how loose I can go with it. So as I said, I started off with a small study with pan pastels because I want to do the minimum amount of strokes as well. The whole thing took about 55 minutes to do. I certainly didn't want to do any real detail. I wanted to see how I could make the scene look like the scene without, you know, excessive details in there. So just the essence of it. So there was two ways I was going to do it. Either pretty much all pan pastels or all pastel sticks. I wasn't going to use pencils at all, because as soon as I start digging out the pastel pencils, I know then I'm going to be just concentrating on details all the time. I didn't want to be spending hours on this small little happy study. I wanted to just get the basics down and create that loose appearance, that loose look to it. Now when you're doing things that are very bright, light in colour, make sure you don't get any darks underneath it. So a subject such as this, I wanted to make sure I'm using, you know, the pure colour on the background and not doing much blending at all. Although with pan pastels, obviously blending or some blending comes with just the application of it. So I wasn't really sure how this was going to turn out, and eventually after just a few minutes of this, you'll see me then switch to the sticks, because I wanted to go even looser than I was going with pan pastels, and I wanted some of the marks, or pretty much all of the marks I'm laying down, to actually show, rather than to have a fuzzy, diffused look that I was starting to get with the pan pastels. So I'm applying some of the clouds over the top and blending. So this is pretty much how I would do a normal underpainting, and then, as you've seen probably in my other videos, detail on top of it and refine it a lot on top. Continuing to add more colours. As you see, blending, and the first layers when you blend always look quite rough. So if I wanted to make this just a pan pastel painting, then I would continue to put another layer or two on top of it. You've got to remember, they're not as opaque as pastel sticks at all. So where with pastel sticks you can do more of a direct single stroke and leave it at that. With pans, you pretty much either got to apply it very thickly or build it up in a couple of layers. Okay, so at this point I realized I didn't want that fuzzy kind of look to it. I wanted a much more direct, much more energetic look, and a looser look as well. So as I said, at this point I decided I was definitely going to try it then with just pastel sticks and create a really loose appearance to it. Okay, so new piece of paper, reference photo, top left hand side, so you can see all those lovely vibrant colours in there that attracted me to this. And what I've done, I've got my image that I transferred on there loosely with just some white transfer paper. You can just see the marks. I'm leaving the bridge out in that reference, going out into the water. I thought it was a little bit distracting, and I want to keep it so loose I don't want fine details like that. And I've just used black gouache to just block in, as you can see, the mountains and a bit of dark on that foliage on the foreground. And instantly you can see I'm going much looser now with these strokes with the pastel sticks, and you can see they're opaque in comparison to the pan pastels, and I'm trying to restrain myself from blending. Any blending is going to be done really just with the sticks themselves, just by more layers going on top. Okay, so I want a much more direct type of approach to it. Colours are not going to appear as vibrant on the screen, but at the end, once again, I'll show my finished artwork so you can see a bit more realistic colours, what they actually look like in real life on the artwork. Now the thing when you keep in a loose feel to it, you don't want to be, you want a direct approach and you don't want much muddy colour underneath. So once again, don't go put in anything that's really dark and an area that needs to be really light, especially as we're not going to be building up layers much. I want just that essence of the image. So just really direct approach to the colours. I'm trying to keep the colours really nice and strong and pure. So I've got lots of vibrant colours, getting the pink tones in coming from the right, and then we need more of that orange yellow appearance, and trying to keep the lighter areas quite light as well so that they're not muddying. It's easier to go too light on it and then to put the vibrant colours on top rather than go dark and try to do it the other way around. That's when you'll struggle to get, you know, nice pure vibrant colours if you've got something way too dark underneath. I'm also limiting the number of colours I'm using rather than having my whole set out, just to make me concentrate on the important parts. Okay, so that's looking nice and bright. I'll reflect these colours into that water as well in the midground, so that will lighten all that area up. The mountains are not black, they're going to be more of a dark purple. So as I said earlier on, I'm doing lighter strokes with the sticks rather than a lot of blending with my fingers. Just doing a tiny bit here and there, but as you can see, it's the sticks really that are doing most of the blending. Now layering some of those more vibrant colours on there. Okay, that's about it for the sky. I don't want to get too fiddly and detailed with it. That's, you know, I'm striving, when you're a detailed artist, that's kind of in your nature, in your makeup, to want to adjust and refine, but I'm trying to stop myself doing that. I'm just getting in some of the purples here on these mid or distant mountains. And just refining the edge a bit as well, getting that a bit more accurate in shape. on a bit of a darker colour at the at the bottom of the mountains, and I'll just bring some more of the purple to blend that in. Okay, so this water is pretty much a reflection of that sky above. So I'll just speed this section up a bit because I'm going to be doing pretty much the same thing as we've just seen. Now starting to work on the flowers and the foreground, the foliage, getting the brighter colours in first, and then I can start to look at some of the darks in there. So really just the absolute minimum suggestion of the foliage. Got a little bit coming up into the edge here, so I'll just lightly break up that edge with some darker areas. But just really reining myself back just to give it a suggestion. As I said, this whole thing took, after even with the first false start with the pan pastels, is still something like 55 minutes, so you can see it is really just a quick sketch. Now for the foreground to work, I need to get the darks to look dark. They should be the darkest part of the whole artwork in the foreground, and then there's no real blacks in the background as dark at all. So that's going to make that scene have more recession. Just a bit of purple here on this concrete type of boardwalk where it's reflecting the sky above or being influenced by the sky above. We've got some really vibrant green here, and then I muted down a little bit with this darker green. That's helping to lead the eye into the scene. Now more of those flowers, those purples, and then just the basic suggestion of some of these leaves. So just a couple of different coloured greens, about 2 or 3 different coloured greens. Some the light is catching a bit more like these, and others are really subdued. So by squinting at the reference a lot, pretty much all the way I'm doing this, I'm just picking out with my vision just the essential elements, nothing else, no details. Okay, so exactly the same over this side as you've just seen, so I'll speed this area up a bit. Now just cleaning up a few highlights, adding some pure whites in there as well. Hope you've enjoyed this one, just a fun little painting, really fast and loose as well, just concentrating on the colours. And I'll leave you with an image of the final painting.